What's poppin', people? It's your boy Supreme Loctius 40, and in this video I'm going to be doing my second installment of Pokemon Unite Deep Dives, where I take a Pokemon and actually talk about it in full in depth about what makes this Pokemon so good, what it needs to improve on, and all that good stuff. So before we get started, I want to apologize that this took so long for me to make. I've been meaning to get this out much more sooner than what I usually intended to, but a lot of things that came up, so hence why I was unable to get this out earlier before. So I do apologize for the delay for this video, and it's actually just going to be me by myself this time around for this, because I didn't have anybody that was available at the period to actually help me record this video. But nonetheless, we're here. I'm here today, and of course, if you guys do enjoy these deep dives, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell. I really do appreciate it. The next one I'm going to be making on is, of course, going to be Gengar, because Gengar did get the most votes from the latest poll from before. So we're going to be going over Gengar and talk about that in another video. But today we're going to be covering Clefable, so you guys can understand how this Pokemon works and whether or not this Pokemon is worth your coins and all that good stuff. So just so you guys get an idea of this Pokemon here. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and talk about Clefable here. So Clefable was available into the game, I believe, on October 13th, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, do correct me in the comments. But Clefable is a brand new supporter Pokemon that came out around October 13th. I'm pretty sure that's the day it came out. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to go ahead and go over its moveset, all of its moves in full depth, and talk about what makes it good, in my opinion, what's all that good stuff. And yeah, so this is pretty much the Clefable's where Clefable shines. It's basically made to support the team. It's basically a team supporter, team supporter, team healer, all that good stuff. So that's basically where Clefable shines, honestly, when it comes down to this Pokemon. So again, it is a supporter Pokemon, so which could also do some decent damage for what I've been reading. So let's go ahead and take a look at at what it does. So obviously you'll start as a Clefairy, but then at level 4 you evolve into Clefable, which is nice. Which means this Pokemon definitely does not need jungle. So I remember there were some people that were trying to play this Pokemon in jungle, and I was thinking to myself, why? Clefable, first of all, is a supporter. You don't really take this Pokemon to jungle at all. This Pokemon is made for support, so you really want to keep it in lane with an attacker that really that does well in lane rather than in jungle. Like for example, Mew. Mew is one of those Pokemon that is just way too, in my opinion, is way too broken. So imagine Mew and Clefable on a lane together, and it's stupid. But yeah. So let's go ahead and go over the moves. So obviously at level 1, level 2, you have a choice between you do have a choice between Heal Pulse and Disarming Voice. Which Heal Pulse is just a move that grants you it basically immediately heals your HP to itself and any Pokemon that happens to be nearby. So it's pretty much like Chansey's. I believe it's the same move as Chansey, basically. So it's like it's like a little heal to start the game off for you. And then the other move you get, which I recommend you start with first, is Disarming Voice. Basically, this move is cool because it's a Charming Cry, which does damage to nearby opposing Pokemon, and then slows them down for a short time. Which I like the fact that it does decrease movement speed, so it makes it more difficult for them to get away. Especially like early game, where I guess if you're stuck with laning, let's say for example, if you lane with a Snorlax, which Snorlax has some amazing damage output early game, which when we get to the deep dive of Snorlax, I'll go into that in a little more detail. Snorlax's basic attack early game can actually do a lot of damage. It's actually really crazy, actually. So having this to actually be able to slow opposing Pokemon down for a short time could definitely be a big difference whether they get away or be able to pick out those knockouts. So I like those effects that help to slow down enemy Pokemon for a short period. And then when you evolve at level 4, you have a choice between Moonlight and Draining Kiss, which we're gonna go over these. So first, let's talk about Draining Kiss, and then we'll go over Moonlight. Which, in my personal opinion, I think Moonlight is definitely better than Draining Kiss, but we're gonna talk about all that in just a sec. So, Draining Kiss is a move that has the user attacks nearby opposing Pokemon with an Energy Draining Kiss. Each opposing Pokemon hit by the Kiss receives damage and releases an Air Kiss. The Air Kiss will travel from the Pokemon to the user's ally Pokemon near them with the lowest HP and restore that Pokemon's HP. If none of the user's allies are nearby, the kit will return to user restores HP. And then when an upgrade, it basically widens the move's area of effect and increases the amount of HP it restores. So before this move used to do pretty good, but what I heard Jenny Kiss's damage got nerfed when it was released into the game, which it kind of makes sense because Clefable is meant to be a supporter, not really to do damage. But then again, you do have Pokemon like Mime that is supposed to be a supporter, and then it just does good damage. Like for example, there was a game that Wurmple and I played, and he did 159k with Mime. And keep in mind, Mime is a supporter, so yeah, mine is definitely not a supporter. It's an attacker hidden. Let's be really good. By the way, shout out to my boy Warmpo, of course, because he's a really great player. So yeah, I think Draining Kiss is not bad, but I feel like Moonlight ultimately is so much better. And here's the reason why. So Moonlight has the user continuously restore HP to itself and nearby ally Pokemon for a short time. It basically gives you like a little, it gives you like a little circle, which heals yourself as well as any ally Pokemon that happen to be in the circle range. And then it also gives the user an increased movement speed. So basically, while you have Moonlight in effect, you also have a little bit of an increase in speed, which is really nice because it's always nice to be able to catch up with your team in case that they go for a push and they go too fast for you to catch up. Moonlight makes it so that you have the movement speed to help you to move around with your team, which is really nice. And I think it's definitely really good. And then when you upgrade it to at level 10, you basically it widens the move's areas of effect and it increases the duration. So basically, when you get your upgrade at level 10, you basically the heals the effects are going to be in there for longer, as well as it widens the move's effect. So there you go. So personally, between these moves, I definitely recommend Moonlight over Draining Kiss because with Moonlight, you're basically keeping your team consistently healed. You got yourself a move that constantly heals yourself as well as your team, which the heals, in my opinion, are definitely better than Blissey's because obviously, as you guys know, Blissey's heals has seen better days, especially with all the nerfs it's received before. So that's definitely something that that Clefable has that Blissey does not. So the heals with Clefable is really good. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerf the heals a bit going forward, but I don't think we'll have to see. I don't really think they're gonna do that, but you never know. You never know. Now let's go ahead and go over to this next move, which has access to two of them. Which we have Gravity and Follow Me, which we can learn one of these at level 6. So first off, let's talk about Follow Me. So Follow Me is a move that basically makes a move. It has the user move to the designated location while waving its finger, drawing the attention of opposing Pokemon it touches and opposing Pokemon near the designated location. Affected Pokemon are forced to approach the user for a short time and attack it with their basic attacks. And then when the move is used, the user receives a shield effect. And then with the upgrade, it increases the user's defense and special defense when this move is used. So basically how this works is you use this move to basically go to a direction, and then it basically makes opposing Pokemon it touches, or rather, any Pokemon that it touches. Basically, I think for this move to work, you have to be near Pokemon, and then use the move, go to a designated location, and then Pokemon that touched this move while you used it. Basically, they have to follow you. They're forced to follow you and then attack you with basic attacks, basically. So, it's a pretty. I think Follow Me is definitely a really nice destructive move, honestly. But I feel like what really makes Clefable way insane right now is, of course, Gravity, which a lot of people have been playing Gravity over Follow Me, and here's why. This move has the user create a gravity zone centered on itself that persists for a set amount of time. And while you're in this gravity zone, the user's basic attacks change and deal increased damage, which is pretty crazy because it basically means that Clefable can actually do some decent damage while you're in this gravity zone. So it's really crazy. And then here's the crazy part about it. Opposing Pokemon in the gravity zone have their movement speed decrease, with this movement speed decreasing effect becoming stronger whenever a set amount of time passes. So basically, what that means is the longer the Pokemon happens to stay in the gravity zone, like if they choose not to leave their zone, if they decide to for whatever reason, decide, hey, I want the knockout on Clefable, but if they stay in the gravity zone for too long, the speed decrease that they're going to be receiving while they're in the gravity zone is actually going to increase. Basically, they're going to be a slow duck, basically. So basically, this move is so dumb because it basically makes it so the movement speed of opposing Pokemon gets decreased, and then the longer they stay in the gravity zone, basically meaning that if they don't leave the gravity zone, the effects the speed decreasing effect basically increases. So, and then the crazy part, and then there's still more, and then these opposing Pokemon's moves will also have no movement effect. So basically, any move that's like a dash. So let's say, for example, let's say Charizard's Fire Punch, or let's say Zeraor's. I believe it also affects Zeraor's Discharge, not Discharge. Wild Charge, Volt Switch, for example. It also affects what's another dash move that's done really well. I'd say I don't know. I'm trying to remember some other Pokemon like Greninja's Surf. Greninja's Surf is a dash. There's also Delphox's not Mystical Fire, Flame Charge, Cinderace's Flame Charge. Basically moves that basically offer movement. Basically, these just shut it off completely. It's ridiculous. Especially if they're sitting in the gravity, these moves have no movement effect. So basically, if you're stuck in the gravity zone and you're trying to go for one of those moves, you have no dash basically for a short period, which is ridiculous. And then an opposing Pokemon, another crazy part is if the opposing Pokemon enters the gravity zone by using a move. So basically, if they were foolish enough to actually go into the gravity zone by use of a move, the Pokemon stops moving. So basically, it's basically frozen for a short time, which is honestly pretty crazy. And then upgrade at level 12 widens the moves of area effect and increases the duration of its effect. So there you go. Um, yeah, gravity is just so freaking strong. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like it's really shut. It's basically a hard destruct for the enemy. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Pokemon that really do really well with dashes, are basically can easily get shut down by this. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy. And now we're gonna go ahead and go over Clefable's Unite move, which is of course Wonder Wish. In other words, it's Metronome. So basically, this move has the Unite move has the user wiggle his fingers. So basically, it's Metronome. Restores HP to ally Pokemon, of course. And then the lower an ally Pokemon's HP is, the more this move restores edge to the ally. And then you get a random move that it performs by using its Unite move within a set amount of time. Some random moves will activate immediately. So basically, this is a move which gives Clefable a random move, as well as it heals your any allies that happen to be close by you. The lower they are, the more this restores their HP. So, and then of course you get a move. So for what I've seen, for what I played, you can get moves like Hyper Beam, Hydro Pump. Well, rather Hyper Beam from Dragonite, Hydro Pump from Blastoise. You can also get Fly from Talonflame. You can even get Self-Destruct from Electro, which in case you don't know where Electro is, you can find Electro in the Sherb City one. I believe that's how I pronounce it. You can also possibly even get Splash. Yeah, the move is definitely hilarious. But I think it's a nice Unite. I think it's a cool Unite because of for the heals. But it can also be. I feel like it's a bit of a luck-based deal when it comes to what move you get after you use this move to heal your allies. So, as far as the luck-based portion of it, I don't really like that. But it is kind of like a metronome kind of deal, which kind of makes sense as to why they will put it like that. I think this Unite move is really good, mainly for the heals, but it also offers a Clefable a possible way to be able to secure things. Like for example, if you're able to get Fly, you can just literally go above in the sky, and then you can it's basically you get yourself a Talonflame fly for free off of this Unite. And I believe these moves do a bit more damage than their Pokemon itself. So I think that's a pretty decent trade-off. I think. But obviously, there's stuff like Splash that's pretty useless. It's a rare move to get it from what I heard, but it's also quite useless in the long run, of course. And then you also have Hyper Beam, which if you're lucky enough to get Hyper Beam, you could definitely use that to get some secure. Like it's ridiculous, honestly. And then you have Hydro Pump, which you can use to push people back, which is pretty cool. And the Self Destruct. Self Destruct does lower your HP for the most part, so that's pretty much that's the only downside of it. But it can do some pretty decent damage. So there you go. That's pretty much Clefable's Knights, and of course we have to talk about basic and as well as its ability. So basic attack just is nothing crazy about its basic attack. Now Magic Guard is a pretty I like this ability as well because what this does is basically every time you heal your ally Pokemon. So basically, as long as you're consistently healing your team, you're basically giving yourself a shield. So I think that's a pretty cool ability to have because it basically makes Clefable more difficult to take down. Unless you have the whole team literally on you, then this makes it so Clefable will be more difficult to take down, honestly. So I think personally Clefable is I think this Pokemon is really good in my opinion. I think personally Clefable with like Gravity and Moonlight as that pretty much that's probably the moveset that it has, honestly. So I think that's the moveset that I personally think Clefable shines at when it comes to this Pokemon's usage, honestly. So Clefable is just so good, honestly. So if 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 you're a player that is there to support your team, I highly recommend you pick this Pokemon up. Honestly, this Pokemon is really great when it comes to supporting a team. Like every time you give your team a heals, you're basically giving yourself a heal. You're basically giving yourself a shield with Magic Guard, which is really nice, honestly. So overall, I think this Pokemon's really good in terms of support purposes. So, if you're a player who likes to do damage, then I would really pick this Pokemon up if you're really all about damage. But if you're a player that likes to support your team and help your team to make sure that they do what they need to do, then I think Clefable it's a really good pickup, honestly. And I think I think it's definitely worth knowing. Now, this is my personal build that I run with Clefable. I basically make it as bulky as possible to help the team, and I also run EXP Shirt to help the Pokemon I lane with. I run EXP Shirt to help them level up quicker. It also helps Clefable itself level up a little bit as well too, so we can get to the sooner you get to Clefable, the better. And then I also run Focus Span. I like this because this gives Clefable some more HP, so basically it keeps it alive as long as possible. Plus combo with Heal Pulse and Moonlight combined. Basically, Clefable is just not going down that easily. Unless the only way Clefable goes down is if it's like a big team fight and the enemy team happens to be ahead. Then basically they could just bait this very easily. But aside from that, it's really good, in my personal opinion. And of course, the last item I recommend, of course, is Buddy Barrier. Now, people do tend to run offensive builds, which that's cool if it does. If it does, but with Clefable, I like to really be more on the supportive route role, being able to make sure that my team it does what they need to do, and I keep them alive as long as I can. So, Buddy Barrier is really nice to have because when I use Clefable's Unite move, which obviously you already know what the Unite move does. I like to have Buddy Barrier on there to make sure that my team also gets shields as well. Even while I'm healing them, I'm also giving them shields as well. So it really does come in handy quite a bit, and I'll tell you for sure. So, but there you go, guys. That's my deep dive on Clefable. Let me know what you guys think. If there's anything I missed regarding Clefable in any points of it at all, please definitely let me know, and I'll do my best to. And I'll definitely take note of it for future deep dives. So. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I really do apologize that this took so long for me to make, but at least I can tell you that at least I did it. At least it's finally done. We're gonna actually have, as you guys are watching this video, we are going to be having Zoroark coming. So once that Pokemon comes out, I will of course be doing a gameplay of it as well as I will be doing a giveaway for Zoroark as well too. So stay tuned for more details for Zoroark. That's gonna be arriving pretty soon. So yeah. With that being said, guys, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you guys get notified when I post videos. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you guys next time. Take care.